All right, this teaching is for women, and we are going to start in James in chapter 2. So the royal law, which, let's see if it's going to focus here. If you fulfill, this is James chapter 2, verse 8. If you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, you do well. But if you are respectful of persons, you commit sin or convince the law as a transgressor. Now, I know the church believes that you don't necessarily have to keep the 10 Commandments, but they also recognize that verse that you're supposed to love your neighbor. Leviticus 19 tells you what love your neighbor is and that you should rebuke sin. So, but we're in Zechariah chapter 7, and I'm going to give you another witness. So, in verse 7, it says, should you not hear the words which the Lord has cried by the prophets when Jerusalem was inhabited in prosperity? So ultimately, you're supposed to be listening to the prophets, right? Because that's what it tells you. And if you want to know more about that, Yeshua himself tells you in Luke chapter 16, verse 31, it's the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, and that you should, if they didn't hear Moses and the prophets, then they're not going to listen even if someone's raised from the dead. You can go and look that up yourself. But in verse 9, and it says, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment. This is not self-righteousness. This is true judgment. This is righteous judgment. So you don't get to rebuke your brother if you haven't learned to keep the 10 Commandments yourself. Show mercy and compassion every man to his brother, and oppress not the widow and the fatherless and the stranger, nor the poor. Let none of you imagine evil against your brother in your heart. But they refuse to hearken, and pulled away the shoulder, and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law, the 10 Commandments, the words which the Jehovah of hosts has sent his Spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord. All right, and they would not hear. Now, if you jump on over, that was chapter 7. This is verse 8. And we are going to just jump straight into verse 16 for time's sake. These are the things that ye shall do. You can go back and read the whole chapter. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute judgment of truce and peace in your gates. Let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath. That's this false covenants that the church is coming up with. For these are all things I hate, saith the Lord. And then we're going to jump down here to verse 23. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days, we're talking about now, it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages at the nations, even shall hold of the skirt. That skirt means the tzitzis, and the little fringes, the corner fringes, and it also means wings. So read Numbers 15:32 through 41 and Ruth 2 through 12, which is 8:3671. That represents the 10 Commandments. You must read this on your own. You must learn what the scriptures tell you to do so you can be in covenant with God.